Today, I'm taking a look at the Asics Meta Racer versus the New Balance FuelCell TC. .75 miles, 7 minutes, 56 seconds per mile, 148 beats per minute on average total for the day, taking the Asics Meta Racer out for some mile repeats, running every other mile at a little bit of a faster effort, running those on miles at about 623 to 657 per mile. So anywhere from kind of tempo to marathon pace for me. It's a similar run that I did the day before with the New Balance Fuel TC. So I could take these two head to head. On that day, I had pretty much the exact same type of run where every other mile was on, with miles ranging in the 609 to 627 pace. So running a little bit faster in the FuelCell TC, but I was running a little bit harder, and that was back-to-back days where I did these harder efforts. And that's not something I normally do in a regular marathon training block, but we're not anywhere near a regular marathon training block. And so I can do these kinds of things on back-to-back days and take these two shoes head to head. Now, before I get into my deep thoughts on how these two shoes did at these kinds of efforts, I do want to go over some disclosures. The Asics Meta Racer is a shoe that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Running Warehouse, and the New Balance FuelCell TC is a shoe that I purchased with my own money. However, in neither event, no one's going to reimburse me for the purchase price of any shoes. No one's going to pay me to make any video or to use either of these shoes, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of this footage before the video goes live on YouTube. Now, with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about these two shoes head to head. Let's talk about the Meta Racer first. This is an extremely lightweight racing shoe with a fantastically breathable upper up top, really lightweight, extremely minimal padding, minimal everything pretty much up top. Got lots of flight foam in the midsole and forefoot with a carbon fiber plate to give it a little bit of extra spring. It's extremely lightweight, and if you run in the Evo ride, you kind of have a sense of what this shoe is going to do, but this is definitely a very good race version of the Evo ride. Everything is just more race tuned to it. I really enjoy running in this shoe. It's coming in at a very lightweight 6.7 ounces too, so everything is really lined up for some faster efforts. It has not AHAR on the outsole. There's a lot of rubber, but it's what Asics is calling Asics Grip. So a special formulation of rubber for the outsole here. There is a lot of it, but it is not taking away from still that overall lightweight package. There's 24 millimeters of stack height in the heel on this 9 millimeter, which is an interesting choice, 9 millimeter heel drop shoe. For a long time, I've been asking for Asics to make like a Protro of the Onitsuka Tiger, and I think this is pretty much what that would be. And it's been a really fun shoe to run in. And in comparison, we've got the FuelCell TC, which is, according to Runner's World, an 8 millimeter heel drop shoe and a whopping 30 millimeters of stack height in the back. And the price for that is a lot more weight. It's coming in at 9.3 ounces per Runner's World again. And it's definitely a little bit heavier of a shoe. Not exactly the weight I would be thinking of when I'm thinking about a racing shoe, but what you're getting for that is a little bit more comfortable of an upper. It's more traditional in terms of the material. Still breathable, pretty much transparent in a lot of places. You can see right through the shoe, but a little bit more forgiving, a little bit of padding in the back here by the heel. And you've got just a lot of this fuel cell cushion in here, as well as a full-length carbon fiber plate. You also got a bunch of rubber on the outsole that a lot of people are thinking is what making this shoe heavy, but I think it's just this FuelCell TC foam that makes it a little bit heavy. What you have with this combination of super soft cushion and carbon fiber is that you get a nice sink-in feeling and the impact from the road gets absorbed well, but you're not stuck in mush. The carbon fiber plate picks you right out of that softness and gets you going to pick up your feet for the next stride. It's a really great feeling to push hard in. So what's it like taking these two shoes that have very different approaches? Super soft, max cushion, carbon fiber plate versus basically a modernized racing flat feel. With the flight foam that's in here, there is still quite a bit of material underfoot. There's plenty of cushion for you, and I found myself when running in this shoe having to dial it back. So those paces, even though today's on miles were slower than yesterday's on miles in the FuelCell TC, that doesn't mean that the one shoe is slower or faster than the other. It was the second day in a row of harder efforts, and I just kind of dialed it back a little bit because I found myself running faster than I was intending for my mile repeats. The definite feeling that I get from this shoe is speed. The price of that, though, is that there isn't as much cushion as maybe I would want for a marathon racer. I can certainly see this for 5K, 10K races. I feel like I'm really low to the ground in this shoe. I feel well planted, even though this outsole pattern doesn't look like it's going to be the grippiest that's out there. I do feel pretty secure in making relatively tight turns, even on some wet surfaces in this shoe. I could even take it, I think, comfortably up to the half marathon distance for racing. I'm not sure that I could take it to the full marathon distance. On the other hand, with the FuelCell TC, I know that this is the TC or the training companion to the RC, which I haven't had a chance to test yet. But I think because of the carbon fiber plate and the amount of cushion that's in here, a lot of people are considering this shoe heavily for their marathon usage. And I think this shoe definitely can take it for the marathon distance because it's just got so much cushion underfoot. And for that longer distance, 9.3 ounces is heavy, but it's not prohibitively so for the 26.2 miles. So I think that it's an okay compromise to have here. I don't think we need quite so much of the comfort measures in the upper that you see in this shoe. I think they could strip it down a little bit, but I don't think that would turn this 9.3 ounce shoe into like a 7 ounce shoe by any means by stripping out a lot of this stuff. So I don't think you're paying too much of a penalty for this extra comfort. I think a lot of that weight is coming in the midsole, but it's a really great midsole. When I was pushing at what I thought would be about marathon pace efforts, I frequently find myself going a little bit faster than I was intending, and again, having to dial it back a little bit as well. And a lot of this may just be for both shoes. The fact that I'm not really in tune to my marathon paces right now. I'm not doing any intense sort of marathon training, so I'm not really like spot on in terms of my pacing, but it is a nice feeling to be able to run in something and feel like, ooh, I was running at a certain level of effort. Ended up going faster than I was expecting. So that's always a really nice and gratifying thing to see when you're looking down at the watch as you're running. Now, in terms of the overall running feel in these two shoes, the main thing that I would say is it's a shoe that kind of just like wraps itself around your foot and you feel protected from the ground and still really quite speedy. The feeling that I get from the FuelCell TC is that this is a shoe that's helping me. It's really, I can feel it as I push off from the ground. I can feel like that extra sense of power as my foot compresses the carbon fiber plate and then it snaps back. It's doing so at a really nice kind of time in my gait and in my stride. So I feel like I'm getting an extra bump or push coming off of my quads. That's kind of like where I mentally am feeling it. I'm not sure that the muscle load is actually happening there, but that's kind of like the sensation that I get when I'm running in it. It's a really pleasant feeling and something that I like for those longer, faster distances, like the kind of paces that I'm running for a full marathon. The one thing that I will say about this shoe that I do not like is that because of this high stack height, I felt a little bit unstable. And that's where having a little bit more of a racer type of upper might help in terms of confidence hitting some tight corners. I had some very tight corners today, and on the day that I had some very tight corners on the day that I ran in this shoe, and it was wet out, and I definitely had to slow down quite a bit in order to feel comfortable taking those tight turns. Now granted, any shoe that I could run in on the types of turns I was taking, I'd have to slow down probably just a little bit, but I was particularly nervous in this shoe because of that extra stack height. It doesn't feel unstable, but you definitely notice that you're standing up a little bit higher, and it's something to keep in mind if you're running a course that has multiple switchbacks. Now, most courses that I can think of probably have at least one pretty tight turn, if not a complete like switchback or a 180 type of turn. If you're running a course that's gonna have a lot of those, I'm not sure that this is what I would reach for. So it's not something that I'd look for a cross-country shoe or a 5K race, but it's something that's in a half marathon or longer. I think you could definitely race in this shoe. Or if you're training for your 5K, 10K, or even 10 mile, and you're looking for that faster long run shoe to bring with you for those harder workouts, I think this is going to be a great choice. So that's kind of the way that I would break down these two shoes. Both of them are really fast. Both of them, my recent experience has been you end up going a little bit faster than you thought you were going for the amount of effort. So in terms of which one would I pick, I think the way that I would pick, I think I'd pick it based on which race that I'm running. But for the marathon, I think I'd give the FuelCell TC a little bit of an edge. Although I do think it's really exciting to run in the Meta Racer as well. But if you're looking at the half marathon, you're in a really great situation because you could probably pick either one and have a great day either way. So those are my thoughts on the FuelCell TC versus the Asics Meta Racer. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to talk about any more, if you have any questions. I'd love to keep the conversation going down there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hope you're staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?